Hi and welcome to this Photoshop video tutorial brought to you by www.carrington-imagery.co.uk, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to create a customized watermark which you can then use to stamp on top of any picture that you're thinking of sending off to a photo sharing website such as Picasa or Flickr, and it will prevent people from downloading your images and passing them off as their own. Now in this Photoshop tutorial I'm going to be using Photoshop CS4, but it reads across most of the other Photoshop packages. So let's get started. Now in order to create our watermark, the first thing I'm going to need is a new blank document. So let's come up here to File, to New, and there we're presented with the New Document dialog box. Now I'm going to accept the defaults on here because all I want is a blank document that I can put some text on. All I am doing is making sure that the background contents are white, otherwise it's going to make life very difficult. So checking out, make sure that the background contents are white. I'm going to say OK to that. And there's our new blank document open in the document window. Next thing I'm going to need is some text. So coming over here to the toolbox, I'm going to click the text button, and then I'm going to come up here to the menu bar and make sure that the settings are right. I'm going to be using Bookman Old Style as a font, but it doesn't really matter what font you use, just so long as it's something you like, something that sort of defines your business, your personality, your website. Make sure that the colour is black for the font, and if we're all happy with that, come down into the document and find somewhere over the left hand side to click and click. Now on most watermarks you tend to have a copyright symbol, so that's the first thing I'm going to need. And the quickest way to find the copyright symbol is to use the keypad. By holding down Alt on the keyboard and using the keypad numbers, type in 0169 and release, and that gives us a copyright symbol. So that's 0169 with the Alt key held down. Next thing, I need some text. I'm going to use my website as the text. So put a space in, and then it's www.carrington-imagery.co.uk. Okay, and that forms the basis of my watermark. That's going to be stamped on any image that I'm going to send to the net. Next thing I need to do is to put that text into a brush preset, and what that will do is allow me to use a paintbrush to paint that text onto any image that I come across. So how do we get that into a brush preset? That's easy. We come up over here to the toolbox again and select the rectangular marquee tool. Once we've done that, we draw a rectangular marquee around the text. Doesn't matter how big, just so long as it encompasses the text. And once we've done that, we come up here to Edit. We drop the box down and we define the brush preset, and that gives us a brush name dialog box. We've got to name it something that means something to us. We're making a watermark, so I'm going to make it W Mark. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I click OK. And that's it for this document. What we've done there is we've created the watermark using that text. We've defined it as a brush, so that from now on all we have to do is select that brush and paint that watermark on top of our image. So let's close this down. We don't need to save it. We've saved the brush. That's all we needed to save. And let's open a new image, one that we're going to put a watermark onto. So I'm going to open this one here. Now this one is a photograph of a charity clay pigeon shoot which I took recently. I'm going to send this off to the internet, so I'm going to put a watermark on top of it. So the first thing I need is a blank layer. I've got to paint into something. I don't want to paint on top of directly on top of the image. I want to paint it onto a blank layer. So come over here to the layers palette. If your layers palette isn't visible, it's F7 onto the on the keyboard, or it's up here to Window and down to Layers and switch it on. My layers palette's over here on the right hand side, and I'm going to create a new blank layer. So coming down to the bottom icon there, to the Create New Layer icon, click it, and there I have a new blank layer to paint into. The next thing is I need a colour for my text. Now the beauty of using a brush is that you can use the colours that are available to you in the colour picker window, and also you can use the colour picker droplet to be able to pick up a colour that's resident in the photo. I'm going to use this guy's sleeves there. I'm going to click that one, and that's the colour I'm going to use for my watermark. So once I've picked up the colour I want, I click OK. Next thing I need is a brush. I come up here to the toolbox and click Brush, and then from the brush selection menu scroll down until we find our W Mark brush, which is there. Click it, and as you bring the brush into the window, lo and behold, there's the text that we typed into the document previously. Pick a reasonable place to put this. I'm going to put it right across his trousers to make it even more difficult for anybody to remove, and click OK. Now, the only thing about that is it doesn't really stand out. I know a watermark shouldn't hit you in the face, but at the same time it should be bold enough to be able to read. And this is where the layer styles come in. So I'm going to come down here to the layer styles icon and click it. And I'm going to add a drop shadow to this. That makes it stand out a little bit more, as you'll note there. But I'm also going to add a bevel and emboss. And that really makes it stand out. I click OK to that because I'm happy with what I've done. But I would like the watermark to be a little larger. So the quickest and easiest way to do that is to use the free transform tool. So holding down Control on the keyboard and pressing T, we enter the free transform mode. We end up with the bounding boxes around the outside of the image, and holding the Shift key down to constrain the proportions, drag the image out until such point as you can see what you want and see how big it is. I'm happy with the size there. I'm going to click OK by using the green tick up here. But what I am going to do just before I save this off is I'm going to just reduce the opacity of the watermark down a little bit. There we go, so you can actually see through it, slightly transparent, once again making it even more difficult for people to do anything with it. And when I'm absolutely happy that that's everything I want, that's the colour I want, it's in the position I want, it's the size I want, I'm going to come over here to the right hand side of the layers palette, drop the box down and go down to flatten image. Okay, so now the watermark and the image are as one. The next thing we need to do is save the image away. But we want to make sure that we save it as a different file name, because if we don't, what we end up with is the watermark permanently sat on top of the file, and that's not what we want to do. So I'm going to use the same file name that the original file was created from, but I'm going to put WM after it because it's a watermark, and I'm going to just say 1 just in case I want to make another one. Okay, and as we're saving it to the net, I'm going to reduce the file size down to probably a medium. See what's that? No, maybe even smaller than that. Let's make it low. And we've got 831K, which is ideal. Click OK for that. And there we are. We've got an image which we took earlier. We've created a watermark earlier on. We've saved it as a brush, and we've brushed it on top of this image to create a watermarked image which has now been saved and ready for the net. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it's of some use to you. And if you did, keep a lookout for www.carrington-imagery.co.uk for more interesting tutorials. Thanks for watching. Cheers.